But now I understand why people who like Taylor Swift say things the way they say them. It's like their own hidden coded language. But again, she has super passionate fans. To have someone do this for nothing is basically, you know, it just shows you how much people care about her music, how much they love her music. Recently, she got her master's back, so congratulations to her again for that. And welcome back to the React Room. I'm your boy Dom K. I'm in here solo, dolo again today. Today, we're gonna see what it takes to become a Swifty. I recently reviewed a couple of Taylor Swift songs and an album or two. Fabulous music. Was really pleasantly surprised. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know much about Taylor Swift. I hear a lot of stuff in the comments there, in the other videos. I hear a lot of information, but I really don't know who she is. Again, growing up as a hip hop fan, rap, R&B, soul, I didn't really hear much of Taylor Swift. I heard the name when I was in college, but I never really got too familiar with her music. But I enjoyed a couple of the albums. I think it was 1989, Reputation. I heard a few songs off Midnight. I'm gonna get more into those later. But I wanna know about Taylor Swift history. And I wanna know about her music. Like I do a lot of different artists on this channel. We do a lot of information searching on people from BTS to SB19 to Damage, Drake, a ton of just hip hop people. We just dive into them and see, you know, what's going on, who they are, where they're from, what's their background on music. And I feel like this guide that we're gonna watch from Nena Shelby, the Taylor Swift guide 101, that's probably the best guide I've seen. I've done some research and everybody keeps telling me Nena Shelby, she's the ultimate Swifty. I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna look at her guide, try to learn what's going on, try to see what's going on, and hopefully we can learn something. Or sometimes it's better to shut up and listen. I'm sure Taylor's had her trials and tribulations. Congratulations to her for getting her master's back. That whole thing that went down with that, from different feuds in the industry with different artists to making deals to sold out stadium tours. It's just interesting to see who she is, what's her background, and where she come from. So with that being said, I'm not gonna hold y'all too much. I'm gonna watch this guide, learn something, try to figure it out, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Nena. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. And if you're not new, thanks for coming back. If this is the first video you're seeing from me, hi, nice to meet you. I make videos about Taylor Swift and being a fan and music and all of that good stuff. So if any of that appeals to you, join the family. We're all mad here. I'm so excited to make this video. I don't know why I haven't made a video like this yet, because I love diving into the details of Taylor's lyrics, her career, her albums, her songs, everything, theories, the Easter eggs. I know that over the past few years, Taylor's fame has risen to a level that is just brought in so many new people. Even though we're already 18 years into her music career, there are constantly people that are discovering her music, new and old. And so I decided that I'm going to make the ultimate guide for becoming a Swiftie, everything that you need to know about her career, the context, the details, the inside jokes, because it is a lot. And I feel like the Swiftie fandom is an overwhelming one to join, especially if you're just now joining us. And I think it's important to say that it doesn't matter if you've only been here a year or if you've been here since the very beginning. It doesn't make you any less of a fan for discovering Taylor's music later on in your life. Yeah, I feel like sometimes this fandom can be a little judgy, a little like it's a club that not everyone's invited to. But you know, you're allowed to like whatever artist you want to, and I am always so excited when somebody in my life texts me and tells me like, oh my gosh, like I really love Taylor's new album, even if they haven't been a fan before. So anyways, just wanted to put that little disclaimer out here. Maybe you're not a fan, maybe you're just someone who's trying to understand Taylor Swift a little bit better with, you know, she's in the news every single day. Maybe you're trying to learn more because your friend or or your significant other is a huge fan and you just want to know more, I'm here to bring you all the knowledge. I've been a Taylor Swift fan since I was 9 or 10 years old when Fearless came out, and I was just beginning to learn guitar. A lot of the songs I was learning were from the Fearless album, and so I'd always been a fan of her music, but I wasn't the level of Swifty that I am now until I got into high school during kind of like the red 1989 era, where it truly just became all-consuming. I just took it to a completely different level of being a fan and being like so dedicated to her songs, music, her as a person in general. And also with the re-recordings, I feel like there's a new generation that are getting to experience all of these Taylor Swift eras for the first time because she is re-releasing these albums. It almost feels like new music to the younger generation. So I think it's really cool. I feel like a lot of artists don't get to revisit their work in that way and kind of like have the new generation see their, you know, previous work as something new, something reinvented. So anyways, it's just like super cool and I have never seen anything like it before. So anyways, I wanted to break this video up into kind of 3 different parts. I'm just going into a lot of detail here. I'm going to be giving a brief overview of like the early life, beginning of Taylor, like kind of like the basic facts about her life, and then going into her career and her music catalog, going through each era and giving you the essential details and context for a lot of the inside jokes and a lot of like references people talk about. And then I also just want to like go through all of the inside jokes that we have as Swifties, because people feel a little confused or left out sometimes when we're referencing certain things. And hopefully I can give you a little bit more context to maybe some of the friendship bracelets that you got at the Eras tour. So this is Swifty 101, how to become a Swifty, and really just like all the info in one place, because I know that you could probably look up all of this stuff on your own, but I just wanted to make it simple and easy for you guys to know all the backstory and the details. Okay, so getting into Taylor's early life,
Okay. I can tell she's really, really passionate about this. I've never heard someone more excited about creating a guide. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who create guides for a lot of different people. But I can tell this is a true Swifty to the fullest. I can just hear the excitement in her voice. I can see the excitement on her face. We haven't even started yet. We're about 5 minutes in, and she was just explaining what she's going to do throughout the video. So I can trust her. I can tell you right now, I know I can trust the information that I'm hearing because she's so passionate about it. I've never seen someone this excited to explain a video. So with that being said, we're going to get back to it, but I just have to throw that out there. I'm going to believe everything she says. Everything she says, I'm going to believe and I'm going to take to heart because I truly think she cares. That 5-minute introduction was someone who truly cares about Taylor Swift's music.
Was born on December 13th, 1989. All of those numbers are very important because they always come back each era in a different way. Obviously, everybody knows that 13 is Taylor Swift's lucky number, and I feel like before, 13 was like seen as like a superstitious, unlucky number, but Taylor has like completely redefined the meaning of the number 13. You'll see everybody at the concerts wearing 13 on their hand, and that's because in her early days, Taylor would write a 13 on her hand for good luck for her live shows.
We have an artist at work. My mom is the only one who's ever been entrusted to draw on my 13. She hasn't done it since I think mid-2009. So considering the time you've taken away from the craft, you really just jumped right back in and excelling.
I did it.
Yeah, it's the 13th show of the Reputation Stadium tour.
So 13 will always come back. She loves to make things add up to 13 with her release dates. She just loves anything to do with that number. So if anything ever adds up to 13, just know that most of the time it's on purpose because Taylor just like loves to incorporate that number into her life. And then of course we have 1989, the year that she was born, a number that is also important because that was her 5th album title. And again, Taylor likes to use that number in a lot of her marketing, her release dates. Sometimes she would put things on her website merch store as $19.89. These are just important numbers to know in the Taylor cinematic universe. Ever since Taylor Swift was starting out in her career, she was really focused on learning everything she could and always working towards mastering her craft as a songwriter, performer, musician, and businesswoman. There's only so much you can teach yourself before you kind of need help. In 1989, and she was born in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is a small town outside of Philadelphia. So she's not originally from Nashville. So she grew up in Pennsylvania on a Christmas tree farm with her parents, Andrea Swift and Scott Swift, and her one brother, Austin Swift, who is about 2-3 years younger than her. Later on, her parents actually got a divorce, but I actually didn't know that for the longest time because they're so amicable. They're still a very strong family unit. Honestly, obviously, I think that's because of Taylor and her career. They have truly learned to just get along even though they decided to not stay married. They're still very good friends and they're always seen at Taylor shows. They're at every single one. They always kind of refer to themselves as a small family business because all of them are very involved in Taylor Swift's career, and I think it's so great that her family is always there for her throughout her entire career. So when Taylor was 11, she begged her mom to take her on a vacation to Nashville to see where all of the country music stars get their start because she wanted to be a singer. She has said that she watched, I think, a Faith Hill documentary. That's when she got in her brain that Nashville is the place where dreams come true, where she could start her career and become a real singer, a real country music artist. Her mom did take her to Nashville and she drove down Music Row and she hopped out of the car and walked into all the record labels with her CD of cover songs that she sang from The Chicks and Dolly Parton and other songs that she had just kind of recorded demos of, and she would ask them for a record deal. They would politely decline and just tell her that she needs to go home and really work on herself and work on her songwriting because that is the one thing that kind of sets you apart when becoming a new artist and being successful in the field. You have to learn how to write songs. So she received a guitar for Christmas, and there's the cutest video of her that is on the internet where she opens the guitar and she's so excited.
Guitar! I am happy.
And I think she's probably around 9 or 10 in that video, but she actually didn't learn how to play guitar until she was around 12 years old. They had someone over fixing their computer and he saw the guitar in the corner of her room and asked, "Oh, do you know how to play guitar?" And she said no, and he said, "Do you want to learn a few chords?" And so he taught her 3 chords, and that night she wrote her very first song, which was called Lucky You. And if you go look up the lyrics of that song, you already know oh my gosh, this girl has a gift. This is the first song she ever wrote, and she's already using metaphor and can come up with these catchy melodies. It's truly impressive for a 12-year-old. When she was 13, her whole family decided to take the leap of faith and move all of them out to Nashville so that Taylor could pursue her country music career. She lived and went to high school in the city of Hendersonville, which is a little bit outside of Nashville, but every day after school, her mom would drive her to Music Row and she'd work with a bunch of songwriters and learn and grow and just get a lot of experience being in the writing room. When she was 14, she signed a songwriting deal with Sony, which is a huge label. So she wrote songs for 2 years, and when she was about 15 or 16, they told her they'd like to sign a development deal, which means they would watch you for a few more years and you wouldn't be able to work on releasing any music. And she knew in her heart that she was ready to create an album, start her career, and so she walked away from a huge record deal because she believed in herself. She continued to write songs and work with people, and then in 2005, she was playing a show at the Bluebird Cafe, which is an iconic little live music cafe in Nashville where a ton of country artists are discovered, and that is an important little Swifty landmark. I actually got to visit the Bluebird Cafe when I went to the Nashville Eras show. They had a whole thing where you could sit in the Taylor Swift chair and see pictures of her when she performed there. But anyways, when she was performing at the Bluebird in 2005, she caught the eye of none other than Scott Borchetta, which was her previous record label owner. He didn't even have a label at the time. He was going to start an independent label that would later become Big Machine, and she was the first of a few artists that he had signed to his new label. And another thing that people don't know is that Taylor's dad, Scott,
Now, why did she put a clown on that dude's face? That's not good. I can tell you right now. I don't know what's going on. But if she put a clown on that dude's face, he must have did something. She put a clown on his face. That's hilarious.
Invested in the label. So he was a 3% owner of Big Machine at the beginning. So he invested some of his own money into it, which obviously kind of gave Taylor a leg up in starting her music career. But it wasn't without hard work that she kind of made it in the country music industry. And thus began the 13-year-long relationship that she had with Scott Borchetta and the label, which is very important context for why Taylor has embarked on this mission to regain ownership of her first 6 albums that were created while she was under this label, because, you know, being 15, 16, she obviously didn't have the experience and the knowledge that she does now to know that she was never going to be able to own the master recordings of all of the albums that were released under this label. So that is something important that we will come back to when we get into the re-recording process. Okay, so now I just want to go through the eras and kind of talk about Taylor's career, key moments that are important to know as a Swiftie. So the Taylor Swift debut era began in 2006. She came out with her first lead single, Tim McGraw, in June of 2006. The song ended up doing really well on country radio, and she completed her first album and put it out on October 24th, 2006, her self-titled album. A lot of Swifties refer to this era, this album, as debut, which obviously we know means like the first album, the first step into the career, but the album is actually called Taylor Swift. So Taylor has been referring to it in the Eras era as self-titled. But if you hear people talking about the debut era, this is what they're referring to. It's just her debut album. She released a few singles, she came out with some music videos, and Our Song was actually the song that made Taylor the youngest artist to single-handedly write and sing a hot country song's #1 single. She wrote that song all by herself when she was around 14. It ended up on her first album and it became a #1 single. She was kind of proving to the record labels that yes, I am ready to start this career and I will be successful. And I think that is a theme throughout Taylor Swift's career. Always pushing the envelope, always being the one person that believed in herself and believed that she could be successful even if other people didn't think she could. So during the debut era, she also released a holiday collection called the Taylor Swift Holiday Collection in 2007 that had 6 songs, and 2 of them were original songs that she had written and the other 4 were covers of other Christmas songs. Still waiting for a new Christmas album, so hopefully one day. And then she also came out with the Beautiful Eyes EP that I feel like goes a little bit unnoticed in the fandom, but it's this orange cover. It has some of the songs from debut on it, just alternate kind of versions. And then it also had 2 new songs on it, I Heart Question Mark and Beautiful Eyes, the title track of the EP, that I believe Taylor most likely will include on her version of the debut album when she finishes out her re-recordings. She toured a lot during this era as an opening act for a lot of country artists. Rascal Flatts, George Strait, Brad Paisley, Tim McGraw even, which is iconic. And she also won a lot of awards for being Best New Artist in the country realm from the CMAs, which is a very prestigious award in the country music industry.
And the Horizon Award goes to Taylor Swift. I can't even believe that this is real. And the fans, you have changed my life. This is definitely the highlight of my senior year.
All of that before she was 18 even. And so when we get to 2008, this is really when Taylor becomes known in kind of like the mainstream media, not just country music. Even though her first album is super, super country, she still had that like pop undertone to some of the songs. So that brings us to Taylor's sophomore album, Fearless. This was truly kind of like her breakout album, and I think she also looks back on it very fondly because this album album really took her to the next level. She was setting records that were unheard of in the country music industry. This album was released on November 11th, 2008. Love Story was her first single from this album, and it like took off. It was the first country song ever to reach #1 on the mainstream top 40. The album spent 11 weeks at #1, and Fearless is still, to this day, the most awarded country album of all time. And she was 18. And it has been almost 16 years. Like, that is crazy. Wow. So in 2009, she went on the Fearless tour, which was her first headlining tour. She won Best Female Video at the VMAs in 2009. And this was also the infamous incident of a little interruption that happened that would go on to be an issue for the next decade. At the Grammys in 2010, she would win her first, second, third.
That's crazy. Okay, yeah, that dude definitely did something. That's why she put a count on Kanye too. Okay, it's crazy that I remember this. And I guess I'm old enough to remember. I remember when this went down. I didn't realize how young she was then. First off, she's not that young. I'm only 1 year older than Taylor. But I guess time flies so fast. I didn't realize that how fast she rose to fame. Like, she was doing this in high school. I didn't really hear about, like I said, I didn't really hear about her until, me personally, until that Kanye incident. That was my first time really, because again, not that I just don't listen to country. And like I said, I've heard of Tim McGraw, LeAnn Rimes and stuff like that, Little Big Town, but I never really got into it. I just used to watch MTV videos every now and then. But it's crazy to think that that was all so long ago. It's like she does a great job of explaining it, but man, that's crazy. Kanye did that to her. She was so young at the time. I think I look at that whole situation differently now, because I'm like most people, we thought it was like, again, if you wasn't a huge fan of Taylor Swift, you was like, that's just Kanye being Kanye. But now that I think about it, like, bro, that was pretty messed up to do that to someone at such a young age who just won an award and so excited. And I bet you she thought that, wow, this is Kanye West on stage. He's going to say something nice about me winning an award. And then he goes, does that. It's kind of like, wow.
And fourth Grammy.
And the Grammy goes to Taylor Swift. Nathan Chapman and Taylor Swift.
Featured artist, Colby Calais.
This is the story we're going to be telling over and over again. In 2010, how we got to win Album of the Year at the Grammys. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
The biggest one being Album of the Year for Fearless. This was also the era that Taylor kind of dipped her toe into the acting and film industry for the first time. She wrote 2 songs for the Hannah Montana movie, Crazier, that we all know and love, and she also wrote You'll Always Find Your Way Back Home, which is performed by Miley Cyrus in the film, which I feel like a lot of people don't know that Taylor wrote that song, and fingers crossed it's gonna be on debut Taylor's version. But she did have a cameo in the movie, and that was filmed in the summer of 2008, so I would kind of consider that more debut era Taylor Swift rather than Fearless. Taylor was also featured in the movie Valentine's Day that came out in 2009 alongside her ex, Taylor Lautner, which is one of our favorite exes. And she also wrote a song for that movie that plays kind of like at the end of the movie, Today Was a Fairy Tale.
Was that the guy from Twilight? That was the guy from Twilight. That was the werewolf from Twilight. Wow. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. That's the werewolf from Twilight.
Which ended up being put on Fearless, the re-recorded version, as one of the bonus tracks. She was also featured on an episode of CSI, and then she also made her SNL debut, where she sang the iconic monologue song. If you haven't seen that, look it up. We'll come back to it later. And this brings us to Speak Now. The Speak Now era was from 2010 to 2012, and usually kind of each era was like 2-year time chunks until we get to Reputation, which which is where she took a big break, but she usually came out with albums every 2 years in the fall. And Speak Now was released on October 25th, 2010. This album was entirely self-written. Taylor had no co-writers on Speak Now, and that was very intentional. She has sole songwriting credit on every single song, with the exception of one of the Target bonus tracks, If This Was a Movie, that had one co-writer on it. Other than that, every single other song is just written by her. If This Was a Movie was actually released as part of Fearless, so she kind of took that out of Speak Now, Taylor's version, so that that album could be entirely self-written. The reason for this is that she received a lot of backlash during the Fearless era, people saying she didn't pull her weight in the writing room, like there's no way she's writing all of these songs, like she's probably not helping at all with the songs.
After that, I had a lot of people who would say, oh, she's an 18-year-old girl. There's no way that she actually carried her weight in those writing sessions. And that was a really harsh criticism, I felt, because, you know, there was no way I could prove them wrong other than to write my entire next record solo. So that's what I did.
Basically, she took offense to that, and she said, okay, I'm gonna write this album entirely by myself so that you can't say that anymore. With each era, she is trying to prove people wrong, just keep pushing the envelope. I feel like this era was very much about Taylor putting her head down and working and proving that she deserved the success that she had. She deserved to be where she was in her career. She underwent extensive vocal training because people were criticizing her for her poor live performances, and that is where the song Mean came from. There was a reporter that wrote a really mean article about her when I think she was performing a song from Fearless, and they wrote this terrible article, and so what did she do? She wrote a song about them, and then it won a Grammy. In 2011, she went on the Speak Now World Tour, and from this, she came out with a live album of the Speak Now concert that included also some covers that she had sang on the Speak Now tour. It is one of the best live albums of all time. It is so good. I'm not biased at all. From there, we are moving into the Red era in 2012, and this was like a huge step for Taylor towards pop. When the Red album came out in October 22 of 2012, that was on purpose, obviously, because the song 22, she saw an opening, she took it. She was facing a lot of pressure from her record label when she was writing the Red album to make it more country, but she kind of stood her ground a little bit and was like, no, I'm gonna continue to make songs that I like and that I want to put on the album, that I feel like belong on the album. And I feel like she kind of half won the battle, because half of the album is very pop and the other half has that like country production / more storytelling vibe.
I always got that vibe. Like maybe it was just the albums that I heard. Like I say, when I heard 1989, and then I heard, what was the other one? It was 1989, because she named so many albums, it made me forget. It was 1989. It wasn't Midnight. I think I heard 3 albums. It was 1989, Midnight, and it'll come back to me in a second. But I always got the vibe that it was a lot of country. And I used to say, I'm like, bro, she a pop artist or a country artist? But people was like, she both. She grew. Now I see why. She literally started off as a country artist. And as far as the writing thing, the thing about that is you're never gonna satisfy people. But again, I understand why she did it, just to prove them wrong, and she did prove them wrong. But the problem is, I think it's always great to have your own album that you wrote everything on, but it's not gonna satisfy people. Once people want to hate on you, they're gonna hate on you. There's people to this day who I hear talk about Taylor Swift and say negative things, and then I'm like, yo, have you ever heard her music? No? Okay. So people are gonna say what they want to say, but I'm glad she was able to prove them wrong.
To it. So all of this resulted in the beautiful, chaotic masterpiece that is the Red album. But it's like a good chaotic, you know. I remember her giving an interview being like, you hear guitars and piano in one song, and then the next song there's dubstep and a pop backing track, and you know, it's like that dance pop vibe. Because Red wasn't successful in like the award show area, that after Red, she kind of felt like a failure in a way. And she always would say like it wasn't sonically cohesive. Everyone was like, what do you mean sonically cohesive? That doesn't make it a bad album.
It was sonically cohesive. Maybe they're right. Maybe I did not make the record of my career. Maybe I need to fix the problem, which was that I have not been making sonically cohesive albums.
We'll come back to that in a minute. But she went on the Red Tour for 2 years, and it was the highest grossing country tour of all time at that point, which is funny that it's technically classified as a country tour because I would not call it a country tour. There was a banjo, but I wouldn't call it a country tour. I feel like when people would ask me, you know, during that era, oh, like, what genre is Taylor Swift? Is she country? Is she pop? And in my brain, I'm like, it's just Taylor Swift. There's no box that she can really be put into because she's doing something that not a lot of people had done at that point. It's always like, you either need to be country or you need to be pop. You need to like choose a lane, and she said, I don't care. Red is the only tour that Taylor went on that doesn't have a tour movie or album or anything. The fandom has never forgot it. It is truly tragic. There's videos and grainy people's phones from 2012, but there's not any high quality video besides like her music video that she came out with all the clips from the tour. It's truly a crime and something that we still haven't let go of to this day. And that is also a theme. Swifties will remember everything. So a little bit before the Red album came out, Taylor released a song called Ronin, and it was about a little boy who had died of cancer, and Taylor would read his mom's blog, and the mom didn't even know this. Her name is Maya. Taylor was following along with his story, and when he died, she wrote this song using entries that Maya had written on the blog, using her words to inspire this song. When she released it, all of the proceeds went towards awareness and charities to fight cancer. Taylor gave Maya co-writing credit on the song, and Ronin was later re-released as part of the Red Taylor's Version album. Taylor also wrote 2 songs for the Hunger Games soundtrack in 2012. We had Safe and Sound featuring the Civil Wars and Eyes Open. Safe and Sound actually won a Grammy for Best Song Written for Visual Media, which was technically her only Grammy that she won during the Red era. Red sadly did not win a Grammy, and it was truly tragic, and that is another little inside joke that Red deserved a Grammy. And when Taylor won a Grammy for the All Too Well short film in 2023, it was like vindication. It was a full circle moment that Red finally got the Grammy that it deserved. But she did do the most iconic, amazing performance of All Too Well on piano at the Grammys in 2014. So she was going to perform at the Grammys, and the fans wanted her to play All Too Well so bad, even though it wasn't a single. It was the first time she had performed a non-single album track at an award show. So that's how much we cared about All Too Well, and we saw what that turned into. She did quite a few side quests in the Red era. She was featured on a song with B.O.B., Both of Us, and then she also was featured in a song with Tim McGraw, Highway Don't Care, which is another really good song that I feel not enough people know about. She was a voice actress in the Lorax movie. She also had a small role in the movie The Giver in 2014. She was nominated for a Golden Globe at the 2014 Golden Globes for a song that she wrote with Jack Antonoff. It was the very first song they wrote together, called Sweeter Than Fiction, for a movie called One Chance. They did not win the Golden Globe, but Taylor returned to re-record that song and put it on the 1989 Taylor's Version album. So that song is definitely more towards the 1989 era rather than the Red era. Moving into Taylor's second breakthrough album, 1989, and this era took place between 2014 and 2016. This was Taylor's debut into the pop industry officially. I feel like Taylor had come out with pop songs, but she never had a fully official pop album until 1989, and she said that when she lost Album of the Year at the Grammys for Red, she knew exactly what she wanted to do next. She said she woke up in the middle of the night and she said, the album is going to be a pop album, it's going to be called 1989, and I'm going to make this shift whether my label wants me to or not, because they pushed against her. They said, please just put like a few country songs on the album. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And she said, nope, I'm doing what I want to do. I believe in myself, and I know that this is where I need to go.
4 in the morning, I'm like, it's called 1989. I've been making 80s synth pop. I'm just gonna do that. I'm calling it a pop record. I am not listening to anyone at my record label. I'm starting tomorrow.
The album, of course, peaked at #1, wildly successful, bringing in brand new fans, as well as appeasing the older fans. I feel like some people are like, oh, I like old Taylor, but I feel like during 1989, it was like the songwriting stayed the same, but the production and the sound just changed. It just became like super, super popular. This was also the Tumblr era, and I feel like 1989 was the era that Taylor was most connected with the fandom directly online and also in person. She would like posts, she would reblog posts all the time, comment on stuff, she would follow fans on Tumblr. She followed hundreds, if not thousands of people on Tumblr. Everybody felt so much closer to her because they had a chance of being noticed by her. She also met a lot of fans during this era. This is when the secret sessions began, and in the weeks and months leading up to the release of 1989, she invited fans to all of her different houses and played them the album before it was out. Of course, in her numerical style, she had 89 fans per secret session, and I think she had 5 secret sessions. So she was meeting hundreds of people, taking pictures, playing them the album. She baked them cookies. I feel like that was her way of kind of really connecting with the fans. Even when she went on the 1989 tour, which was huge, I would say it was the Eras tour of that time because of how popular it was in the mainstream media. Everybody wanted to go to the 1989 tour. She was also meeting people before and after almost every single show of the 1989 tour, which I think was really good for her, and I really think she loves connecting with people, but I feel like it also was very exhausting. During the 1989 era, this is when streaming took over, and this is when Taylor took a stand against unfair compensation of artists, and so she withheld putting 1989 on Apple Music unless they compensated all artists for the free trial period that they were promoting, because before the artists were not being paid from the free trial period when people signed up for Apple Music. And she also pulled her whole catalog from Spotify until they also agreed to fair conditions for artists. This was the beginning of Taylor's legacy with changing the music industry and how it operated. So the 1989 tour was the highest grossing tour of 2015. Again, that is going to be a theme here. And she came out with the 1989 tour movie on Apple Music at the end of the year. She won her 2nd Grammy for Album of the Year, and she was the first female to win that award twice. But that year in 2016 was the beginning of one of the hardest media cancellations that ever happened to Taylor, and it was rough. We were in the trenches out there defending Taylor when everybody turned against her, and with the whole Kim Ye drama. Essentially, Kanye came out with this song with very degrading lyrics toward Taylor. Kim K released a private phone call that she had recorded that was cut and spliced and made Taylor out to be the bad guy, and she called her a snake, and everyone said the Taylor Swift is over party, she's a snake, blah 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 blah. It was a very dark time and not a very popular time to be a Swiftie because everybody was so against her during that era, and that is what made her go into hiding for a whole year. This was the first time since she started her career that she did not release an album every 2 years. She took an entire year to disappear and not be in the public eye because of how much criticism she was getting. It was too much. I feel like that was also the year that she also just kind of not threw in the towel, but she didn't try to be perfect anymore, because this is when she had Bleachella. We had the Bleachella era where she went completely platinum blonde, and she went to Coachella, and she was just like doing whatever she wanted. She was also dating Calvin Harris at the time. They wrote This Is What You Came For together, but originally when the song came out, she was listed under a pseudonym, Niels Soderberg, which is another inside joke that we joke about because it was just like the most random name she could have chosen. And when she was asked why she chose that name, she said, those are 2 of the most popular names for Swedish males. And nobody knew for a long time, like, that was her. But there was some drama that happened when Taylor revealed that she had co-written the song, and Calvin Harris got really angry and had a little temper tantrum, but like there was some Twitter beef, but ultimately we just forgot that he existed after a while. That is now a song that Taylor has played live before. She played it on piano in the one performance that she gave in 2016 at the Formula One race, and it was iconic. Also in 2016, it came out that Taylor had written Better Man that was performed by Little Big Town, which was a country song that was super successful for them. And again, she didn't reveal it until a few months later because she wanted the song to
And the crazy part about that is, well, 1989 is obviously my favorite album. I like Reputation. That's what it was, Reputation. Listen, I think Midnight, Reputation, and 1989. But 1989 was my favorite album that I've heard so far, because when I heard it, I could still hear slight country vibes of it, but to me it was just like a good pop album. I just, again, like I don't like to draw comparisons on it, but again, like, because I did a whole album review on it, I was just impressed by it. I just think that, man, now that I think about it, when you don't have like that backing with no one like defending you publicly, that could be a lot. But I mean, that was crazy with the Kanye thing. I remember when all of that happened, I didn't know it affected her that much. I remember like when all of that stuff happened with the phone call and the line and all of that stuff, and it's crazy, man. You just never know who to believe with that stuff, man. Like I said, I believe her, but at the same time, it's just like, I just hate that type of drama, because it's like, unless someone actually comes out and just say what happened, you just get a tweet here, a tweet there. I think it would have did her good just to come out and do a whole interview about it, if she didn't do it. I was like, me personally, I would just be like, I didn't say it. She took that, she sliced it up. But I can get it. You just probably don't even want to deal with it. I didn't even know she was with Calvin Harris. That was crazy too. Wow. Just learned, there's so much information.
For itself before she came out and said that she had written it, which is kind of a theme here. The last song she came out with in 2016 was the collab that she did with Zayn, I Don't Want to Live Forever, for the 50 Shades movie, and that song also was wildly popular for a very long time. And so in 2016 she underwent all this backlash, bleachella, like craziness happening. She broke up with Calvin Harris, dated Tom Hiddleston, like there was so much going on, yet she still had 3 of the most popular songs of the year in 3 different genres: EDM, country, pop, and she dominated. Like, it's literally crazy. This takes us into the Reputation era, and this is when she started dating Joe, and the tides turned a little bit for her when she announced Reputation and broke the internet. Reputation came out on November 10th, 2017, so 3 years after 1989. From 2016 to 2017, she wasn't really seen at all, and this is where the karma theory comes in, which, say what you will, I am a karma truther through and through. There is a lot of evidence. So if you haven't seen my karma video, I will link it down below. You can go check that out and see what the karma theory is all about. But there was this theory that Taylor was working on another album in between 1989 and Reputation. It was never released, and she had written music that just didn't see the light of day and all of that. But ultimately, she ended up writing Reputation, which was a complete 180 rebrand, crazy rising from the dead that happened in her career. Reputation is one of like the best comebacks of all time. She took something that they used against her as a weapon and turned it into the best marketing plan of all time. She said, "You're gonna call me a snake? Let me put little diamonds and bejewels on it and sell it for $65 on my website. Let me put that on every piece of merch. Let me put that in my tour. Let me use that to make myself more successful." Literally, she is a genius, a businesswoman. And then the Look What You Made Me Do video came out, which had me on the floor. When that video came out, all jaws were dropped. She completely smashed the Vivo 24-hour record for views. It got 43 million views in 24 hours. It was the beginning of the most chaotic Easter egg hunt, because she has said in an interview before that there are still Easter eggs in that video we haven't found yet, and that keeps me up at night. I think about it a lot. The Reputation Stadium Tour became the highest grossing tour in US history. She does it again. Nobody thought people were going to show up for the tour. They thought she was gonna have to cancel shows or downsize. Like, they were saying like, "Stadium, are you really sure about that?" And she said, "Just you wait." The fans truly showed up for her during that era, and I feel like that was one of my favorite eras to live and be a part of, because it truly felt like everybody was there for her. Everyone that was at the concert was there for her in the dark times of 2016 and the media backlash gosh, like we didn't go anywhere. I don't think she's forgotten that either. And that's why I'm so excited for Reputation Taylor's version, because I feel like she has something special planned. The Reputation tour movie was released to Netflix at the end of the year that she was touring, and then sadly Reputation did not win any Grammys, but it did win a lot of other awards. During this era, Taylor also was featured on the song Babe that was performed by Sugarland. Taylor had written this song during the Red era, and it just kind of like sat in the vault. She reached out to Sugarland one day because she like wanted to see that song have a life, and they were so excited to record it. They wanted her featured on the song, and so that came out in 2018, and I had that on repeat. I loved that song so much, even before it was re-recorded on Red Taylor's version. It was really cool during that era to see Taylor release songs as a songwriter and see them do well even though she was not the one performing the songs. And now we are to the Lover era. We're almost to present here. The Lover era was so short-lived, sadly, and we all know why, but this album came out in August 23rd, 2019. This was the first album she came out with that came out in the summer, and it was also not her usual album cycle. It was like much sooner than we were expecting, and she came out with the lead single in April, Me, of course. When she came out with this single, she didn't announce anything else about the album yet. She just came out with the single. You know, we got into June, and then she announced the title of the album, and then, you know, bit by bit she's giving us more information about Lover for the whole summer. And that album was just like, it was so fun. It was completely my aesthetic. Butterflies, pink, glitter, all the lovely things. We love Lover. And this album was the beginning of a new era for Taylor in the music ownership realm. She announced late 2018 that she was going to be leaving Big Machine and signing a new record deal with Universal Music Group. This was because going forward from Reputation, Taylor wanted to own all of the master recordings of all of the songs that she writes, and Big Machine could not guarantee that. They basically gave her a deal saying, you can earn back each album by putting out another album, but you won't own the master recordings of those ones. So it was like truly a trap. I think Taylor fought for years to own her music, to have an opportunity to buy the music, but for some reason Scott Borchetta just would not budge. Even after everything that she did for his label and his career, he didn't feel like he owed her that much, which is truly very sad. So when she moved over to Universal Music Group, they guaranteed that she would own every single song, every master recording, and she would have kind of full creative control of anything that she did. And that was like so exciting and so like such a hopeful thing for her. So Lover was the first album that was truly hers, and I think that's why she kind of like holds it close to her. But this era was also like the time that she had to struggle with her past record label. There were so many issues, and the others that were involved in the sale of her masters, which was truly tragic. Her masters were sold from Scott Borchetta to Braun, we all know this, for $300 million. Honestly, looking back now, you have to laugh because they made the biggest mistake of their life doing that, because it's going to be worth a fraction of what she has made since then on all of her new albums and all of her new work and her re-recordings and everything. They really messed up. They really didn't think she would go and re-record every single one of her 6 albums plus vault songs plus extra bonus tracks, but they should know her by now. She is going to rise to the occasion and prove you wrong. And Scott Borchetta, he knew better, and so that's on him. I did a full video on the process of the re-recordings, the legal parts, like how Taylor went about the whole process. So if you want to see that deep dive, I will link that one down below. I'll link all relevant videos down below if you guys want to see. Taylor was also featured in the movie Cats as Ballerina. I don't even know how to pronounce her character's name, but she co-wrote a Golden Globe nominated song with the producer Andrew Lloyd Webber called Beautiful Ghosts, which is a beautiful song. She also released her documentary Miss Americana at the beginning of 2020 that kind of followed her life through the past few years, from beginning of Reputation all the way through to the Lover era. Her personal struggles, her creative process. It's a really good documentary. I love getting like a glimpse into Taylor's, behind the scenes, so I really hope she comes out with something else like that about, the re-recording recording process in the Eras Tour. And as we all know, Taylor was supposed to embark on the Loverfest tour in the summer of 2020, but we all know why that didn't happen, sadly. I still think about it and I get sad because that would have...
What's crazy about all this is people be making stupid mistakes. If you think about this, bro, how much money would they have made? Even if they, like, if it was me, what if you would have said, okay, continue to be with the label. We'll give you all of your old masters recordings. You can have all of your future recordings. And on top of that, we'll give you a percentage of the company. Maybe like 5-10% of the company shares. You didn't even have to offer all that, but let's say you did. You would be 10 times richer right now. Think about that. If you would have said, okay, we'll sell you your masters at equal value and you can have all your future master recordings, and all you got to do is re-sign with the label, do more albums, you can have full creative control, and we'll give you shares of the company. That company will probably be one of the biggest companies in the world right now. That's crazy. But the greed in the music industry and the control, I could just see how the ego wouldn't let them do it. The ego is like, no, I want to own your stuff. I want you to be here forever. Like, ego is a strong thing, man.
And such a moment for the Loverfest, which is why I think Taylor gave Lover its moment as the opening act of the Eras Tour. So moving on from that, very soon after, she started recording her surprise 8th album, Folklore, which she started writing in April of 2020 and released it just a few months later in July 26th. And I just remember the shock, the overwhelming emotions of just having a Taylor Swift album not only announced, but released on the same day it was announced. She had been working with Aaron Dessner and Jack Antonoff remotely during lockdown and everything. Obviously decided to just put it out because you couldn't do the normal album rollout, the press week, the normal marketing that she would do if she was going to begin a new era. And so she said, I didn't want to overthink it, so I just put it out. Again, it truly took the world by storm. She stepped again out of her normal box and went towards more folk style songs, acoustic-y storytelling. She created this whole woodland world that is Folklore and Evermore. It really appealed to the masses. I think especially during this time, everybody was going through a lot and this music was exactly what we needed during this time. And then 5 months later, she came out with Evermore on December 11th, which was essentially a sister album, a continuation of Folklore, diving deep into the fairy tale forest Taylor created. And those two albums are for me, they go together just because they sound, the story, everything about them is complementary. And I feel like sometimes people think no, everyone needs to treat Folklore and Evermore equally. And there's the inside joke with the fandom that Taylor doesn't like Evermore as much as she likes Folklore, which is not true because I feel like she sees both of them on this level of they're complementary albums. And so the Folklore Evermore era was one that we all kind of just experienced at home in our own ways. This is when Taylor began her journey to re-release all 6 of her first albums, because in November of 2020, that was the official start where she was legally allowed to start re-recording her albums. She got busy fast. She whipped out Fearless so fast from November all the way until it came out. It wasn't even 6 months before she was ready to release Fearless. She announced it in February. She released Love Story as kind of the first re-recorded song, which is truly symbolic because that song was her true first breakout single. The song that everybody fell in love with, is a career-defining song. And so that was the first song she wanted to own again, which was truly poetic and full circle. And then following that, in April of 2021, she came out with Fearless Taylor's version, which included all the bonus tracks from Fearless Platinum Edition, as well as Today Was a Fairy Tale, and as well as 6 unreleased vault songs that were supposed to be on the original Fearless album, but they were cut from the album. So that was how Taylor was going to get people to buy her new version, because she had something to add, something else to offer with it. And it's truly what the fans want. It has been so much fun getting to hear these vault tracks. In November of 2021, she came out with Red, Taylor's version, that had 30 songs on it, including the 10-minute version of All Too Well, which had been an inside joke with the fandom for years. Ever since Taylor said to a fan, I think a meet and greet during the 1989 tour, they asked Taylor, where's the All Too Well 10-minute version that you said existed? She said, oh, this song was 10 minutes, but I had to pare it down to 5. And they asked her, okay, like, where is the 10-minute version? And she said, she joked, she's like, oh, it's on a CD somewhere in my house. Like, I don't even know, I lost it. Ever since then, nobody will let her forget that. And everyone's like, Taylor, let me come clean your house. I'll find it. Like, I'll go through every one of your drawers to find the 10-minute All Too Well, because that's insane. It's insane to put out a 10-minute song, right? And so for almost 10 years, that song sat there. And then on the re-recorded version, she was really trying to give the fans what they wanted, because we made All Too Well our favorite song, and that was her favorite song on the album as well. And even though it wasn't a single, it became like our own little connecting song. That was a huge deal for the Swifty fandom that 10-minute All Too Well came out. Other songs that were included in the Red Vault were Ronin, like I mentioned earlier, Better Man, and Babe, both songs that had been released under different artists before she went and re-recorded her own versions of, and then as well as her other From the Vault tracks from the Red era. And then, like I said, she went on to win a Grammy for Video of the Year for the All Too Well short film, and Red finally got its Grammy like it deserved.
Tough.
And this brings us into the Midnights era, which is the era we're in until a month from today. The day that I'm filming this, it is March 19th, and in 1 month, we will be officially entering the Tortured Poets era. So the album Midnights was announced at the 2022 VMAs when Taylor won Video of the Year for All Too Well short film. This was totally unexpected. I think a lot of people thought she would finish the re-recordings before she came out with a new album, but Taylor, she threw us for a loop here, because we thought we were getting another announcement of a re-record, and then she said, brand new album, and everybody lost their mind, much like I did a few months ago as well when Tortured Poets was announced. This era was so chaotic and so fun, and I can't believe I'm talking about it in like the past tense, because I feel like we're still in the Midnights era. The whole thing with like the Midnights, she had us staying up all night for this album. She came out with this series called Midnights Mayhem with Me on TikTok, where she would crank this like bingo cage wheel thing. She'd pick a ball out that had a number, and then she would reveal the name of that track. And she, at the very end, she released them like every hour from midnight until like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I was like losing so much sleep because of it. But it was so fun. It was truly so fun. The whole release week and lead up to the album was just like she used to. She appeared on a bunch of late night shows, did interviews. She had this whole week of fun planned for us. And she even came out with 3 music videos for this album, 2 of which came out in the first week that it was released. And then she was so chaotic that at 3 a.m., the day that the album was released, she released more songs from the 3 a.m. edition. The amount of content that came out of the Midnights era was like, it was just so much fun. And then she also had a bonus track on the Target edition, Hits Different. So that's like over 20 songs that came out with the Midnights era. And then there was the announcement of the Eras Tour, because up until then, we had no idea what she was gonna do. We knew that she was gonna go on tour, but we had no idea what she had in store. And so when she announced the Eras Tour, I lost my mind, because I assumed she was going to tour Midnights, just Midnights on tour, but I should have known better. So she announced she would be touring all of them, every single album. Midnights became the closer of the Eras Tour. Like, it was the grand finale. She was giving it its moment. And then she also came out.
Wait a minute. So she picked like the top songs from every era? There's no way she did all of those albums on one show. That'd be too exhausting. Man, that's even crazy to even think that someone would even do something like that. She has a lot of albums. Bro, she got a lot of music. And then all of the nonstop touring, that's a lot of work. I'm curious. I gotta know. I wonder if she did all of those songs. Because I've heard of this. Now, I've heard of this Eras tour, but I never knew what that meant. I thought it was just kind of like, I thought it must have been an album or something. So that's like all of the different eras she's touring. So she probably just took a good amount of songs from each era. I don't know. I'm about to find out.
The late night edition of Midnights, where she had From the Vault, You're Losing Me, and then also the Till the Dawn edition of Midnights, which included the Karma remix and the new version of Snow on the Beach and all that. So overall, having like the Midnights era take us into this Eras tour era was so much fun and the perfect album to release before she went on tour because it did so well. Antihero broke so many records. I think it was the longest single at #1 on the Billboard 100. It broke so many records, streaming records, everything. Taylor is the most followed person on Spotify, all of that. And most recently, Midnights won Album of the Year at the Grammys 2024, her 4th win in this category. I forgot to mention that Folklore won Album of the Year. How could I forget? She was the first person to win Album of the Year 4 times in her entire career. She is insane. She also took the moment that she was on stage when she won Best Pop Vocal Album for Midnights to announce that her 11th studio album, The Tortured Poets Department, would be released on April 19th. We were so sure she was announcing Reputation Taylor's version, but again, she threw us for a loop and she announced a brand new album. During the Eras tour, she returned to the re-recordings, and in Nashville, she announced that Speak Now Taylor's version would be out July 7th. That was super fun. She got to release the album on the tour, do a whole special thing for her the weekend that the album came out. She added Long Live to the set list. We had some amazing vault tracks, my favorite album, like so special. And then also on the very last night of the US tour, I was there and it was one of the best nights of my life.
And so now here we are on the last night of the US leg of the Eras tour in the 8th month of the year. On the 9th day. I think instead of just like telling you about it, I think I'll just sort of show you something I've been excited to show you.
She announced that 1989 Taylor's version was coming out October 27, 2023, which was the same release date that the original album came out on, October 27, 2014. And for 1989, it was super fun. She came out with all of these variants and covers and just kind of like really celebrated that era. She kind of rebranded 1989 as like a beach album rather than a city album, but I feel like that was a little bit intentional to just give it like new life. She's created this pattern where she had 2 re-recordings, new album, 2 re-recordings, new album. So I feel like after Tortured Poets, she will return to finish the job and release Reputation and debut. So that is the entire overview of Taylor Swift's highlights and music career. And now I'm gonna get into some inside jokes that we have in the fandom and provide a little bit of context to some things. So like I started with, the number 13 is a big one, a big kind of thing to know about Taylor, that she loves the number 13. That's why people are writing it on their hand at the concert, and that's why that number is so important. Then we have track 5, and at first Taylor was doing this unknowingly, putting the most emotional, vulnerable song as the 5th track on the album was just by chance for the first 5 albums. And then she started doing it intentionally. And so examples of track 5, we have Cold As You, White Horse, Dear John, All Too Well, All You Had to Do Was Stay. And so when someone pointed that out to Taylor, she kind of took that and ran with it for the rest of the album. So every time she comes out with a track 5, you know it's going to be deeply personal and very emotional. And so following that, we had Delicate, The Archer, My Tears Ricochet, Tolerate It, You're On Your Own Kid. For Tortured Poets, track 5 is going to be So Long London, and I just know it's going to kill me. That is the deal with track 5. I'm not really going in any particular order. I just wrote all of these things down that I could think of that was inside jokes. The next thing we have is No, It's Becky. And this was a funny inside joke that happened on Tumblr during the 1989 era, where there was this post going around on Tumblr. It was this picture of Taylor Swift as like, I think she might have been 13 in the picture, and she's wearing a tiara, and somebody's writing, "This is my friend Becky. She died because she smoked marijuana," or something. And then somebody commented under it and said, "That's Taylor Swift." And the person that made the post commented back and said, "No, it's Becky." And so Taylor, her sense of humor, she got a shirt made with the Tumblr font that said, "No, it's Becky." And so that just became a joke in the fandom. And then she referred to herself as Crazy Aunt Becky. And that was like a little inside joke that happened that still carries on to this day. So if you see that on a friendship bracelet, that is where it's from. Next we have Yes Whale. And that is just when Taylor went whale watching, and there's a video of her and she yells, "Yes Whale," when it comes out of the water.
Whale! Whale! Look at it! Yes, whale!
And so that is another thing Swifties will comment. If they see something positive, yes whale. Next we have 5 holes in the fence, which is a failed theory. A great example of clowning that happened when we were waiting for her to announce the Lover album. She posted this picture where she's in the middle and there's 5 holes in the fence, and everyone thought that meant there was 5 days. It was a 5-day countdown because Taylor is all about numbers, and we thought we really had it. 5 holes in the fence, and when the 5 days were up, nothing happened because it wasn't intentional. And then Taylor saw that, and when there was 5 days until Lover came out, she reposted it and said, "Now there's 5 holes in the fence." Totally clowning us. Like I was talking about earlier, we have the karma theory. So if you see karma truther, it's people like me that believe there was a lost era, a stolen album, a project called Karma that never came out. And I just feel so strongly about this because when Taylor announced the track on Midnights called Karma, she was laughing her butt off in the Midnight's Mayhem video because she knew how chaotic it was to come out with a song called Karma when she knew there was this theory of a lost album called Karma. So I don't know. She knows the theory exists. So next we have the flower wall, which we thought something was going to be announced because there was this whole thing like, "Swifties, we have a surprise for you." And we're like, "Oh, what's gonna happen?" We watched this live stream with this lady, and it literally, the surprise was a wall of flowers that said, "We never go out of style." Another clowning moment. Another little inside joke is the voice memos from the 1989 deluxe tracks. It's just like we take these little one-liners and we use them, and also we put them on the bracelets. So this one was, So over the years, a lot of people have asked me to sort of describe my songwriting process, which is the first thing she says in one of those voice memos. So a lot of people reference those voice memos a lot. Home invasion. This is one that came about during the filming of the Look What You Made Me Do video, where she put out the behind the scenes of making the video. There's a scene in the video where she is fighting. It's Fearless Taylor and ringleader Red Tour Taylor fighting. And of course in the video you like don't know what she's yelling, but she is yelling something. So to get that across, she's yelling, "Get out of my house," in the behind the scenes video.
I'm not sure where that came from. I have no experience in home invasion, but you just gotta follow the muse.
During the behind the scenes video, she says, "I don't know where that came from. I've never had any experience in home invasion." So that's kind of where that comes from. Of course, we have I think for me, and that is something that has been like an inside joke throughout the years. Every time Taylor is asked a question in an interview, a lot of times she started with, "I think for me, So I'll give you a few examples of that.
I think for me, I answer too many questions starting with "I think for me, and it's been pointed out to me lately, and I need to work on it, so I'm going to start that over."
When are we going to hear new music?
I think for me, I just think that for me,
Of course, we have 1, 2, 3, let's go, bitch. That is a chant that started at the Reputation tour. There was a girl who was recording. She was just recording Taylor singing Delicate, and then in the pause, this girl yelled, 1, 2, 3, let's go, bitch.
We can't make any promises now, can we, babe? No. But you can make me dream. 1, 2, 3, let's go, bitch!
She just came up with it and she posted it on Tumblr. It went viral. Taylor saw it. And then at every show after that, people started yelling that. It has turned into something crazy. I can't believe one person started that. And now Taylor has 96,000 people at the Eras Tour chanting 1, 2, 3, let's go, bitch.
Can't make any promises now. But you can make me dream.
So that's kind of the origination of that chant.
Oh, that's crazy.
Rip Me, I Died Dead is from an interview that she did with Graham Norton. He was asking her about the secret sessions and how dramatic the Swifties are on Tumblr. Everybody would just talk about dying because of how excited, astounded, everything about Taylor, the secret sessions, everything. Of course, everyone's like, oh my God, rip me, I'm dead, blah, blah, blah. So Taylor has the clip of that.
So the fans, because the fans who go to do it, they then, of course, want to blog about it because they've had this amazing experience. Borderline confusing on whether they had a good time or not. So she said she'll be playing her album for us. Let me tell you, the noise that came out of my mouth was not human. Legit almost told Mama Swift to call me an ambulance because I wasn't going to make it.
I love them so much because they always talk about dying.
Yeah.
Rest in peace me, R.I.P. me, I died dead.
That's where that comes from. The term clowning, as I have been using, is when we think something's gonna happen and we gather evidence for the thing that we think is gonna happen, and we talk a lot about the theory that we think is gonna happen, and then it doesn't happen. So we are clowns because we were wrong. There's so many memes that people have created that I've seen on Twitter, Tumblr, of people turning Taylor Swift lyrics into clowning references. My favorite is Clownelia Street. So whenever something doesn't happen that I think is gonna happen, I'm walking Clownelia Street. Sea urchins. Taylor went on an interview with Ellen and said one of her most deepest fears is stepping on a sea urchin. It's the funniest clip. You should look up that whole interview because it's really funny. Then we have the no belly button joke, which came about because during the end of Red, start of 1989, Taylor wore a lot of high-waisted things, so people started joking that Taylor Swift doesn't have a belly button because there was like not very many pictures on the internet showing Taylor Swift's midriff or something, because she used to dress, you know, pretty modestly. She was a teenager, and it wasn't until she was like in her early 20s that she started wearing more like revealing clothing or whatever. It just became a joke, like Taylor Swift's belly button doesn't exist. And then one day she posted a picture with Haim in Hawaii to prove to everyone that she had a belly button. So that one's funny. We have Karen, the pet snake that came on the Eras Tour, which is a name that Taylor gave to the giant inflatable snake that would come up during Look What You Made Me Do on tour. So if you ever see Karen, that is referring to the giant cobra from the Reputation tour. My Mind is Alive is from the clip where Taylor had LASIK surgery.
Don't fall asleep eating a banana, okay?
I'm not asleep. My mind is alive.
Her mom had recorded her after the surgery when she was all loopy. She was like crying and saying really funny things, and she was like holding a banana, and it was just like really funny. But Jimmy Fallon decided to air it on the show. There's a clip where her mom's like, don't go to sleep, and she's like, I'm not asleep, my mind is alive. That is something I have put on a friendship bracelet to trade at the Eras Tour. Pegacorn. In 2014, when she was promoting 1989, she went around on Halloween dressed up as a pegacorn, a unicorn with wings, and went to radio stations and did all of her interviews dressed up as a pegacorn. So if you ever see like your friendly neighborhood pegacorn, that was the caption for that picture. And then she was on Jimmy Fallon where she did that skit with him, like I forget what it's called, like Ew or something, and she had a drawing of a pegacorn. So that's where that comes from. We have the monologue song from SNL that has the cheekiest lyrics, and she throws shade at Kanye. She talks about Joe Jonas. She talks about Taylor Lautner from Twilight. It's iconic. You should go watch it.
I like writing songs about douchebags who cheat on me, but I'm not gonna say that in my monologue. I like writing their names into songs so they're ashamed to go in public.
The secret messages. Taylor has always kind of done Easter eggs in different ways. It's just gotten a lot more prominent over the years. Early on in her little album booklets, where, you know, you have like the lyrics, so it's like the front cover of your album, you open it up, it has the lyrics. She would capitalize or lowercase certain letters, and if you wrote them down and put them all together, they would spell out a secret message for what the song is about. And so the first 5 albums have secret messages. When she went to Reputation, she started to do different things with Easter eggs. But for the first 5 albums, she had the secret messages in the album lyric booklets. So you can go look those up, you know, online. You don't have to like find them yourself, but if you've never saw the secret messages, you can go look at your little album booklet if you have the CD and decode them yourself. So she's always had a fun way to keep us involved with what the songs are about. Easter eggs, of course. If you see Easter egg, that means a little reference, hint, clue, breadcrumb Taylor has left in her lyrics, music videos, Instagram posts, tweets, anything that can be a little hint to what is coming in the future. And there has been so many of them. I have done lots and lots of videos deep diving into all of the Easter eggs from a lot of the eras, she's done a lot recently, so you can go check out those videos if you want to see more about the Easter eggs. We have the secret sessions, which Taylor did for 1989 Reputation and Lover, and she hasn't done it since lockdown and everything, so I don't know if she'll ever do secret sessions again, but never say never. Where she would DM fans, have her team reach out to fans and invite them to classified locations that were her house, and nobody was allowed to bring in their phones or anything. It was super top secret so that her album wouldn't get leaked, and she would have around 100 people to listen to the album before it came out, and she would, you know, meet all of them and take a picture with them. Yeah, just like a really cool fan experience that she did that nobody else has done really anything similar to that, so she was kind of like the first person to do that. Okay, so hang with me, I have a few more. I just had to change my battery because I've been talking for so long, but we're on the home stretch, I promise. Okay, so next we have chai cookies. Taylor Swift posted on Tumblr her chai cookie recipe. Somebody asked Taylor, like, she had posted a picture on her Instagram of the cookies that she made, and someone's like, hey Taylor, drop the recipe, and that's what she did. She came on Tumblr and she dropped this chai cookie recipe. They are delicious. I have made them so many times, so if you see anyone talking about Taylor Swift's chai cookies, you can go look that up on the internet, and there is a Tumblr post still out there with the chai cookie recipe that Taylor Swift made. If you want me to do a deep dive into the Taylor Swift Tumblr era, please let me know, because that was one of my favorite eras to be online. I also have a fan Tumblr account and Instagram that I was thinking about reacting to because it is literally the funniest thing ever to go through my old posts and everything. So let me know if you want me to revisit that era. Blondie is a nickname that we have given Taylor, and if you see people referring to her as Blondie, Blonde Cat Lady, that is Taylor we are referring to. Woodvale. Woodvale is the fictional 3rd album that we thought was coming after Evermore. We thought Folklore Evermore and Woodvale would be like the 3rd album in the little trilogy, because there was like a mistake that happened where they accidentally left the code name for Evermore on the Folklore cover. Something happened there. I don't know. I haven't been on too much of a deep dive of Woodvale because I wasn't sure that it existed, and I was thinking that it probably wasn't true, but Woodvale is another joke. Woodvale truthers and Karma truthers the Venn diagram is very similar. Then we have Stars, Do You Like Them? And that is when Taylor, I think it was the lyric video for Lover, Taylor drew some stars that were questionable, and someone was like, Taylor, what is this? And she responded with Stars, Do You Like Them? Which is another little inside joke that people put on bracelets. So if anything, this is like a list of things you could put on friendship bracelets if you're going to the Eras Tour this year. And then lastly, we have Misheard Lyrics, which is Starbucks Lovers. I feel like I reference Starbucks Lovers all the time, and I keep getting corrected, like, do you know that's not really the lyric? Or like, did you know the actual lyric is long list of ex-lovers? And I'm like, I know. Like, what? Do you not understand? that I'm being ironic and like sarcastic about it. So it is kind of funny to see people being like, that's not the lyrics. It's like, yes, we know. Taylor even acknowledged this during the 1989 era. She tweeted on Valentine's Day saying, "Happy Valentine's Day to all the Starbucks lovers," even though that's not the actual lyric. So yeah, Starbucks lovers. My other favorite one is "I Wish You Would," where she says, "Stand back where you stood," and a lot of people got it confused and thought it said "Stand back wasted," which I think is equally as funny. We have from Cruel Summer. I didn't hear this one. Like, this is a misheard lyric I got correct, and I thought it was so funny when I found out a lot of people thought the lyric "He looks up grinning like a devil." People thought that she said "He looks so pretty like a devil." Another really funny misheard lyric. But anyways, that's all of the inside jokes that I could think of when I was just sitting here like typing off the top of my head. In the comments, if you are a tried and true Swiftie and I forgot an inside joke, leave them all down below. I'm sure I missed a few. And if you're new Swiftie, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here, wanting to learn more about the fandom and Taylor and just like this world that is so much fun. I've had the best time this past year, just like making friendship bracelets, going to the Eras tour, connecting with people, just like truly being our true selves. It's been so much fun. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate every single one of you. If you like this video, if it was helpful, give it a thumbs up. That helps me out and lets me know that you like what I'm doing here. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
It was a long one. That was a long one. Let me say this. I learned a lot. Just a few quick minutes before I get up out of here. It's a long one. Taylor Swift has a long career. A lot of eras, a lot of albums, a lot of lyrics written, a lot of people work with. She's had Heartbreak, but so we all. I just think this video helps you understand what all of these albums are about and what was going on at the time. Because I used to get confused when I used to hear people say stuff like that. I don't know too much about the inside jokes, but she just explained them all. But now I understand why people who like Taylor Swift say things the way they say them. It's like their own hidden coded language. But again, she has super passionate fans. To have someone do this for nothing is basically, you know, it just shows you how much people care about her music, how much they love her music. Recently, she got her master's back, so congratulations to her again for that. And like I said, man, she beat the labels at their own game. She re-recorded these albums and made them more popular than ever before. She got it for less than what she would have paid for it. She's living a great life. She's done the Super Bowl. She's the most promoted person in the NFL with Travis Kelce. Now, like, she's just doing it, man. Like, I just feel like I know more about these albums now. Now I know when I go visit these albums and I rate them, and I start getting a group of people with me and we start recording and reviewing these albums all over again, it's gonna be that much better, man. So that's all the time we got for today. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching me learn. I'm almost a Swiftie, almost. I'm learning and I'm going. I love Taylor Swift music so far. I'm gonna check out more of these albums and see what's going on. And like I said, just follow me on the journey. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Always with love. Peace.